sip of water.
This bout takes place in the amateur featherweight division and is for the Husky amateur title and is scheduled for 5 2-minute rounds. Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. He is a Texas fighter fighting out of the Freestyle Academy in West Texas, making his fourth appearance in Husky this year. Please welcome back Emmanuel Blount.
We've seen Emmanuel Blount compete a few times. This kid is technical. Look at those calves. I certainly don't have calves like those.
Yeah, Saquon would be. Man.
But he's quick, man. He's technical. Now, I'm interested to see how Nicholas comes out here after a big cut. But, you know, yesterday he seemed very confident, man, in the work that they put in the gym. So it's going to be interesting to see. Both young kids here, 24 and 20.
I gather you got the Saquon Barkley reference.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, seriously. I mean, man, you're right. Good grief.
We got to start feeding Saquon the ball more.
Man.
I'd be attacking those calves right now. Ooh.
I'd be running the football up the middle. Fly, Eagles, fly. Oh. Good shot.
Oh,
couple of knees here now.
He's got to get out of there. He's got the hand stuck.
This is something that we haven't seen a whole lot of tonight, where both guys are really active in the clinch, Chad.
Yeah, looking good there. Referee split him up.
And why, though? I mean, to me, both guys are active.
Maybe because it's kickboxing and not Muay Thai, technically.
Yeah, the rules changed just a little bit as far as the clinching, the reinforcement on the knees to the face. There's a few, things that changed. And kickboxing is pretty new as far as the rules in Oklahoma. There was some confusion when Husky Fat first started with some of the knockdowns and stuff. But they're working the kinks out, and it's getting better. I like to see Nick keep that distance, man, and work that jab.
Good shot right there.
Nigel, you can tell Nigel's looking to.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. You can tell Nigel's looking to close the distance here and get on the inside. I like to see Nick stay on the outside, work his footwork, and be tricky with those kicks.
It's a verbal caution, okay? Keep him up as well.
It's always a bad day, bro.
Emmanuel's looking like the better fighter up until that point. We'll see if he can recover from this low blow.
What do you think is worse, a low blow or me getting a Playboy Bunny tattoo?
Oh, man. Why we keep going back to that?
There's just so much material there, man.
He's trying to breathe it out. A lot of us has been hit low, and it's definitely it creates this feeling in the stomach that you don't like.
Whoa, solid left.
Nice knees there by Nicholas. Is what he needs is control Emmanuel's head. He can't let Emmanuel come in and control his arms because he likes that low clinch. Nicholas has to control the head there to be able to get effective shots off.
Well, Chad, and to your point a minute ago, you felt like Blount was looking better. Now that time has settled, there could be a shift that happens now, right?
Right, Nicholas looked a little bit better after the low blow, got started back. For a minute there, I was thinking Nicholas looked like he was a little discouraged, didn't want to be in there, but he came back a little bit, at least in that last 30 to 45 seconds of the fight.
I'm afraid that the 20-pound cut is starting to affect him right now.
What'd you say, 20 pounds?
That was the next question.
In less than a week.
Gas.
20
pounds, he's got to be tired.
Well, as an amateur, as a guy that probably doesn't cut it all the time, in his fights, 20 pounds is tough, man, in a week, especially when you weren't waterlogging and dieting all before, and from what I heard, he did not look great on those scales. So, I think it's starting to, we'll see how he recovers, but someone like that can start getting lethargic pretty quickly.
Well, and to me it's obvious there's still a little bit of yellow coloring. I mean, I'm not a doctor, but that's just my observation.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but
You got to recover. Hydrating has got to be your first thing after that, man.
Yeah, him being 20 and cutting the 20 pounds, maybe that makes a difference. Being 145, it's a low weight class already. I saved 20 pounds for the last 5 days every time, but I got the experience too.
Yeah, a rule that I have is 10%. You try to cut 10%. If you can do that, then you're pretty good. If you're at 150 pounds or at 165 and you're cutting 15 pounds, still tough, but a lot better than trying to cut 20 pounds in a week when you weren't preparing. He's got to get out of this corner. Nice.
Ooh, good left there from Blount. That was a solid shot now.
He's got to get out of that corner. Can't stay in that corner.
Well, he's walking him down really well. His defense, look, hands up. He's checking everything. He just looks like the better fighter right now. Oh, solid right on top of that. Good shot. And another good shot. And another one. Solid rights coming from Blount.
He's really taking over this fight.
I feel like Nicholas' fast twitch muscles are getting affected by the by the cut, and he's looking a little lethargic. Emmanuel Blount, though, he put his hands on his hips.
Right.
What kind of indication is that?
He's
got a lot of muscle.
He's got to be tired too then.
They're both window shopping.
Ooh. Right now, it looks like we're seeing a bit of a lull. Both guys might be feeling it, Chad.
They're both exhausted. Both their mouths are open. I'm not sure how much weight Emmanuel cut. But the less fat you have in your body, the harder it is to cut. And he's full of muscle.
Yeah,
I ate a lot of Taco Bell, so I got a lot of fat to lose when I cut.
Wait a minute, that's a thing?
Yeah.
It's harder to cut the muscle. Well, okay, look, I get it. Muscle weighs more than fat, right? But how would that be more difficult to cut the muscle than the fat? A guy like me.
Well, what he's saying is that when you're cutting water, you're taking the water out of your muscles.
So retention.
And you need some fat. You need some fat on your body. You can't. The only people that get down to as low as they can as far as fat is like bodybuilders that are looking to look good. But to perform, you need a little bit of fat on your body. Probably 10% or so, I think, is around the percentage that they would want you at to be healthy. And cutting weight, man, it's a science to everything. There's a science to everything, and it matters when you get in here.
I walk around at 210, and I fight at 170, which sounds like a lot, especially to people who don't fight. But that comes into play that I have more fat on my body. I'm not ripped, so it's easier to cut the first 10, 20 pounds when you quit eating that Taco Bell and you get in the fight camp. Where somebody like him who's already just totally ripped, you're not going to be able to cut too much weight.
Yeah. He probably walks around very close to his weight.
Close, yeah.
Well, in that discussion right there, that's a new can of worms, right? Because that's a debate that's as old as fighting right now, right? About whether or not guys should be fighting closer to their walking around weight. Obviously, you just talked about walking around at 210, 170. There could potentially be a better advantage for you there,
right?
To a lot of people, and especially when you cut the weight and then the next day you blow up and put on 15 pounds.
Right. The closest weight class to me is 205 light heavyweight. You got no fucking weight, and I'm not doing it. You know what I'm saying? So
right.
If I've been fighting for 15 years now, I got it down to a science. Like Emmanuel said earlier, it's a science. So I'm pretty good at cutting the weight, and I'm good at getting it back recovered and getting back in there and fighting at full strength.
But does that to you, and look, this is not me trying to start anything, but it's a valid question, Chad. Is that symptomatic to you, what you just said? Does that validate what people think? Okay, he doesn't want to fight close to his weight class the way that he should, so he goes down to 170 because he knows he's going to be better.
Yeah, a lot of my friends talk shit to me because when I post the posters of me and my fights, the guy's always way smaller than me. So they're like, when are you going to start fighting people your size? Well, hey, we weigh the same on the day we're supposed to weigh.
Yeah, that's,
But the power differential, though.
I could speak for Chad here, is he would love to fight a 205, but then you're giving up the strength because everyone does it now.
They're doing it too.
Absolutely. If it was a culture where everyone is fighting closer to the weight and there's some kind of hydration clause and making sure, then we can start talking about that. But everyone's doing it, so you have to jump on the train and make sure you do it to have the same advantages.
Well, ONE FC, right, their thing has been fighting closer to your walking around weight. A lot of fighters have said they feel better. They feel more in shape. They feel healthier going into their fights. So how does ONE FC do it as opposed to like UFC, boxing, PFL, etc.?
Well, obviously ONE FC is one of the leaders on that, and someone had to start doing it, and someone had to find the importance of that, and that's them. So I'm hoping that the culture can change, because this is very dangerous. I mean, the most dangerous thing, and when you say it out loud, it doesn't sound correct, but the most dangerous thing about the fighting game is the weight cuts.
Right.
It really is.
Your brain's a muscle.
Because people don't know how to.
Right.
They think that they're just going to go in there and starve themselves and get in the sauna. There is a science to everything, and it matters so much for you to perform the next day.
Well, and look, we were talking about wrestling earlier, not to bring wrestling into it, but Steve Austin, right? He basically went in with what he thought was a heart attack. Come to find out, he was dehydrated as hell, right? So when you're cutting like that, I mean, there's been guys who have broken bones after a weight cut because their bones are powder at that point. But I've seen guys try to walk and snap their legs because they did such a dramatic weight cut. Jaundice, your liver, your kidney, your brain. You are taking so many high risks by doing something like cutting 20 pounds in 6-7 days.
Yeah, it's very dangerous, man. I'm hoping that the culture can change eventually. It's going to take someone like the UFC or someone big like that to really change the culture in the local scenes, because like Chad was saying, if he doesn't do it, then your opponent's doing it, and you're giving up those advantages.
Right, and especially at the higher weight classes, there's more weight in between. So if I don't fight at 170, I then got to fight at 185, which is 15 pounds. Even those guys are huge. Dricus Duplessis, those guys, I'm not nowhere near those guys' sizes.
Well, and I think about Conor McGregor, right? I mean, trying to cut any type of weight for him right now would be damn near impossible, because he really treats himself more like a bodybuilder right now than he does a fighter. You know what I mean? And so when you're talking about the difficulty with the muscle, I mean, it's going to be 3 times as hard for him. He's going to have to dry all the way out if he ever decides to, instead of whatever he's doing, take another fight. But I think about guys like him that go away. I mean, that's got to be – I just think about the longevity of an athlete, right? We always talk about it with the NFL because of concussions. I don't think we spend enough time talking about it in combat sports, because a lot of people don't really take the weight cut, seriously to me until I'm 2 weeks out. Man, I got to drop 30 pounds.
Yeah, it's tough. The dieting's tough. I'm a foodie, so it's the toughest part for me. The training was easy. Obviously there's challenges, but when it comes to the food, and I'm Hispanic, man. I grew up, not using spoons. I was using tortillas to eat, so
everything,
every little bit counts. So you have to change your culture and the way you eat and start really dieting and making sure everything is on point. You're hydrated, the carbs, everything, before you start actually cutting the water.
I don't think it's ever going to get any better, though. I mean, it's just such a part of the sport now. If you think of amateur wrestling, it's even worse there.
Yeah. And that's where it started, is the kind of the wrestling, right? Is having that advantage and out there with the strength.
Well, somebody's walking around at 190. They wrestle somebody at 155, right? The next day they blow up and put on 20 or 30 pounds.
Right.
Now they've got all this extra weight and they're back to. But here's the thing, though, the muscle recovery. I mean, okay, you're probably gonna have more power because you're gonna weigh a little bit more, right? But the muscle recovery time, to me, with the dehydration and all that, because you're not going to be able to retain it because you've lost all of your salt, right? Mm-hmm. So now what do you do in terms of like your power and all that? Some of that still has to go away to me.
You just have to do it the right way. I mean, I feel like in the 15 years I've been fighting, I have almost close to 30 fights. I've gotten it really down to a science. It's all about science and really how you get the weight back in, your sodium replacement, and how you take the sodium off. It's just, it sucks to do it, but we got to do it. I don't think fighters ever get tired of fighting. They get tired of cutting weight.
100%. 100%, brother. The way you feel when you're cutting weight, I mean, literally.
But you know what? I think everyone should have to go through it, I
Yeah.
mean, it'll make a man out of him.
Yeah, oh, 100%. Yeah.
How tough
there's
are
nothing
you?
tougher than cutting weight, man. I mean, you know, we've seen backstage in some of the higher levels where the guys are, you have the whole team there helping you because you're damn near, you know, crying because you're just hurting. Your body's hurting, mental's hurting. You put all this work in, so you know you can't stop. And sometimes you need that support. And yeah, I wish they get away with it one day, man. I hope I'm around to be able to see that and see these guys compete at a healthier version of themselves.
Well, and I think a lot of it started, I'm sure everybody's seen the movie Hands of Stone, right? And then, of course, we know the backstory behind that fight where he claims that, you know, they put in that clause to make it an unfair weight, and he had to cut all this weight, and then dramatically the next day, you know, he ate and he drank and he had to put on an extra weight, and it made him sluggish.
Yeah.
You know, so it was counterproductive, and I just think there's so many health issues that come along with it. I mean, right now, to be honest with you, I'm surprised cutting 20 pounds in a week that old boy is still standing here.
I'm surprised too the way he's moving and recovered here. He's really found his second wind. You know, he's had some good moments here. He did get a point taken away because he landed a low blow with one of those kicks there. It was accidental, certainly not intentional, but referee has to do his job.
I guess I'm not as surprised as you guys because I do cut so much weight, but
the only difference here is that these guys are a lot smaller, right?
For sure, 100%.
And they're amateurs, and I don't
And
know how
younger.
much experience he has cutting that much weight. That's the only reason I was worried about him. And from what I hear, how he looked, and you know how it is when you look like that, you just look like a skeleton.
Right. I mean, here's the thing. Obviously, I don't do this, right? But I still worry about the safety. I've done things where I've won awards for like concussions and CTE and all this other stuff. And I just think that we're not doing enough in combat sports to worry about the health. You know, I talked to Scott Jones about it when I interviewed him for the show, you know, about 4-ounce gloves and the safety precautions, because 4-ounce gloves, a lot of people will tell you are much safer than the big 10 and 12-ounce gloves, or even traditional boxing, because regardless of flash knockout, you're still getting the repetitive blows, because that's the only place you can hit somebody's in the head and the stomach.
Yeah, the accumulation, you know, I've heard that, you know, could be worse than getting knocked out or knocked down. You know, I don't know the science behind all of that, but that's what I've heard. The accumulation of the punches over and over when you're getting knocked down, getting back up, getting recovered, and then getting hit again and again is
Well, to answer that, right, the doctor that I spoke with, Dr. Roush, has got over 30 years of sports medicine. He said it's always the cumulative effect. He said one injury, I'm usually never worried about it. But when it starts reoccurring and it happens over and over and over again, then that's when I would be discouraging about still going, right? Yeah. So over and over and over again, you guys just said you get tired of cutting weight, but you're going to have to do it over and over and over again. How much can the human body really take of that before it goes into shutdown mode on you?
Yeah, that's the question, right? How much can your body take? You know, as human beings, your body's pretty resilient, but you know it has a threshold like anything else. So, like Chad was saying, that's why there's a science to it. When you find it and you fine tune it, then you try to do the same thing every single time to get the same results.
Maybe this is due to the credit of the knowledge of my body and how it works, but I honestly feel like it gets easier every time. And I'm 35 years old. And, you know, you would think that it's getting harder and harder and harder, but I don't even have to get in the sauna anymore. And I swear to God, I've taken 21 pounds in the last 5 days, and I've never missed weight. And like I said, I don't even put the sauna suit on anymore. I just haven't gotten such a science. I'm eating steaks the day
The water logging,
right.
all that, yeah.
I know how to do the sodium flush and all that stuff real good. You know?
Well, here we go, championship bout. Who do you think took this fight, Chad?
It was a close one. You know, Nick got the point taken away. I'm going to have to give it to Emmanuel.
Man, everybody's shoe game here is on point. I'm going to have to step my game up, man. We had Jordan earlier. She had those pink chucks. Lynn Whalen here. The ring girl. Look at those boots that Scott had on, man. Those were definitely not cheap, man.
Ladies and gentlemen, how about a round of applause for these two fighters? This entire bout goes through the scorecards. Judge Abby Sutherland scores the bout 48-46. Judge Henrik Coleman scores the bout 49-45. Judge Joey Gorsinski scores the bout 48-46. For your winner by unanimous decision, out of the blue corner.
There it is. Well, we've got a new champion, amateur champ,